What is up, guys? So Arrow Season 8 had a trailer released for Comic-Con. I didn't make a video about it because I didn't really think that there would be a lot to talk about in the trailer. As it turns out, however, there actually is, so I'll make the video about it here. There is more to talk about outside of the trailer. There's a lot of details about the season that were released that expand on the trailer, as well as expand on the details of the season. Some costumes that were revealed for characters like Green Arrow, Spartan, and Black Canary. So I'll go over all of those things in this video, starting with watching the last 30 seconds of the trailer, which are the seconds and the part of the trailer that actually show new footage.
Years on a deserted island and you came back a vigilante? Seems a little far-fetched.
Just one more thing I gotta do.
So the new footage begins with somebody in the future wearing a Deathstroke mask going up against Connor Hawke. It's just one of the Deathstroke people in the future. I honestly don't really remember anything from the flash forwards, or at least not something like that. So I'm not gonna lie, I do not remember the Deathstroke people. I just remember there being, I guess, some people there wearing Deathstroke masks, but that's just what is going to go on there. I'm not really going to talk about the flash forwards very much. So getting to a much more interesting part of the trailer, past the flash forwards, we have a fight here between two archers. One of the archers is very clearly the Green Arrow. You see the green costume, the green arrows, and there's another archer also wearing a hood, also with a bow and arrow, that I think is very interesting who this can be. I think that Oliver and the Monitor will be going to an alternate universe in the first episode. Which universe, I don't know, but I don't think it's going to be Earth 2 or even 3. It's probably going to be some universe we've never been to before, but in this episode, we're going to see Adrian Chase. We're also going to see Tommy Merlyn, and I think this other archer is Tommy Merlyn of a different universe. In this universe, Oliver didn't survive the shipwreck, and maybe Tommy went with him and he survived, so he got the training on the NU, or maybe because Oliver's death in this universe it pushed Tommy to the point that he trained to be an archer himself and a vigilante, and took down his father, and so becoming either the Green Arrow, or what I would like to see is for him to become the Dark Archer, but still a hero. The reason they're fighting is probably because of a misunderstanding, but I think that's what they're doing. Tommy Merlyn of a different universe is the Dark Archer, but is a superhero, and will probably help out in the upcoming crossover. So then we see a shot of Oliver and Diggle, probably in the bunker. Oliver is most likely telling Diggle either to help him going on his mission, or maybe this is just a final talk before he goes on the mission, but I don't think Diggle's going to go on the mission. There is one person that we were told, the audience, that the Monitor is not the only person to go on this mission with Oliver, and there is somebody else. I'll talk about that later in this trailer breakdown, because I think that there's a better part to talk about it, but in this photo, we do see Diggle's new costume. It's the same costume that Mark Guggenheim teased on Twitter, and I correctly predicted that it does belong to Spartan. We also have concept art of the costume, and it looks pretty cool. They obviously added a lot of green to his costume, which I feel like is definitely a nod to Green Lantern. This costume, if you just add in the black thing in the chest area, just add that green and add a logo, it's very similar to Jon Stewart's costume from the comics and from Justice League / Justice League Unlimited. So I feel like they're just closing in on the Green Lantern concept or aspect of this character, which is pretty damn cool. I do like this costume. I think it's probably better than any Spartan costume before. It's got more color. It's a lot more interesting. Up until now, his costumes, especially in Season 4, was really bad, but after that, it was just really boring. Season 6 costume was mostly black with a little bit of red, so I'm glad they're adding more color to this costume, and since there's no green character in Star City right now, because Oliver is going around the multiverse and he's not going to be in Star City, Diggle being probably, most definitely the leader of Team Arrow with the green color aspect to it, without being the Green Arrow because that was terrible, I think that this is going to be pretty cool in this season. And hopefully, by the end of the season, or maybe by Crisis, we get to see the full-on Green Lantern. So we see a shot of Renee pointing a gun at somebody, pointing a gun at the camera actually, but it's going to be at somebody who I don't know, but this is actually going to be a part of a storyline that will lead up to the flash forwards. In the flash forwards, 20 years in the future, Renee, who has very weird old person makeup, it just looks weird, but he's the mayor of the Glades, which is kind of the upper class Star City in the future, but this season will show the beginning steps of him becoming the mayor of Star City, or I guess the Glades in the future, and this shot is going to be a part of that. So we see a shot of Tommy Merlyn. This is not going to be a hallucination of Tommy Merlyn. This is almost definitely going to be a Tommy Merlyn of a different universe. Probably the same character we saw earlier fighting the Green Arrow, and that is either the Green Arrow of his universe or the Dark Archer of his universe. But this is something that I'm definitely excited for because Tommy Merlyn is a great character. I've always said he adds a level of emotion to the show that really, really works. It worked the last season. It works every single time he reappears. So I'm seeing this alternate version of himself, similar to what we saw in Crisis on Earth X, but different because he's not going to be evil or a Nazi, and I think that's going to be pretty cool. So we get a look at Earth 2 Black Canary, the Black Siren we've seen for the last couple seasons, and she's basically full-on Black Canary of Earth 2. She got a Black Canary's costume from Season 3 and 4 in the last season, and while she looked exactly like the Black Canary from Earth 1, I think that this costume we see here, as well as the hairstyle, does a great job at, first of all, looking great. I really like the design. I love the yellow color to it. I think that this basically is probably the best Black Canary costume we've seen so far, or at least as good as Dinah's costume, which I really like as well, but it differentiates her from Earth 1 Black Canary, as well as Dinah Drake Black Canary as well, and I think it does a great job at that. Also, something I want to add is, like I said earlier, Oliver and the Monitor will have a third person accompanying them on their journey through the multiverse, and I think there's really no other character other than Laura Lance of Earth 2, aka the Black Canary, who that can be, because she's from Earth 2. There's going to be a future Star City storyline, a present-day Star City storyline, and Oliver's storyline, but I don't think there could be a storyline with Laura Lance on Earth 2. Every member of Team Arrow other than Oliver is going to be in Star City, meaning Spartan, Wild Dog, Black Canary, and Arsenal. Every future character is going to be in the future. Oliver and the Monitor are going to be going around the multiverse in this journey, but Black Canary of Earth 2 doesn't really have any place in any of that unless she's a part of Oliver's journey, and since we know a third character will be a part of their journey, while I would like to see Arsenal be a part of that, I think I would also like to see Black Canary be a part of that as well, as it will be so cool to see Oliver and Black Canary have their own mission together, as while the Monitor will be a part of a lot of it, he's not a series regular, so I feel like it's going to be mostly Oliver and Laurel, so that's going to be really cool to see, as it's something we probably should have seen the entirety of the show. So then we have our first look at the alternate universe Adrian Chase, or I guess probably maybe Simon Morrison, aka possibly Prometheus, although I feel like he should be Vigilante. He says to somebody, it seems like he's talking to Oliver, he says, "Years on a deserted island, you came back a Vigilante," seems a little far-fetched, which it seems like he's talking to Oliver, but I feel like it would be cool if he's actually talking to Tommy Merlyn. Maybe in his universe he's just learning about Tommy's origin story. This is from the same universe that we see the Tommy earlier, the same Tommy that's fighting Oliver. Maybe this is from the same universe, as it is in the same episode, so that would make sense. Yeah, it's possible that he will be a villain, but I would much rather he be a good guy, because we've already seen him as a villain, and while he was great, we don't really need to see that as a different character, but it would be really cool to see him as the Vigilante, because Adrian Chase in the comics is Vigilante, and while Vigilante in the Arrowverse is Vincent Sobel, who is an original character, it would be cool for an alternate universe version of Adrian Chase to be Vigilante, as I think it would be really cool to see him here, as we are seeing him, but also in Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it's possible that in this alternate universe, he is the arch enemy of Tommy Merlyn there as well, and he is Prometheus, but we'll just have to wait and see for which one it is. I would prefer for him to be the Vigilante, because then we could see him even more so, especially in the Crisis, as a hero. So we see Oliver drop behind two employees of Queen Consolidated. As we see in the background, a queue. There's like the 3 behind it. I don't know what that part of it means, but the Queen Consolidated is no longer a thing on Earth 1. So this is a part of the alternate universe where Adrian and Tommy are from, and this is where we're going to see Moira Queen. It's confirmed that Moira Queen is going to be returning in this episode, and there's probably going to be a pretty emotional scene where Oliver meets Moira, as I'm pretty sure in this universe Oliver is dead, and in our universe, or Earth 1, Moira is dead, so that's going to be a pretty emotional scene where they are reunited with their deceased loved ones who are like from an alternate universe, and that's probably something we're going to see here. Why Oliver is at Queen Consolidated, I don't know. So we see a pretty interesting scene. This seems like it is in Queen Consolidated, the same area that Oliver dropped in a second ago, but we see a lot of employees and people working there just completely bombarded with arrows. Now, I feel like what's going on here is that Tommy Merlyn is exactly like Oliver was back in Season 1. We were all told, or we know now, that the first episode of the season will be an homage to Season 1, while Episode 2 will actually be an homage to Season 3. I feel like all 7 episodes will probably be some sort of homage to one of the seasons, with Episode 1 being to season 1, I feel like this episode will deal with an alternate version of Green Arrow who maybe never got past his serial killer phase, so he goes around to every billionaire place that he could find and kills all the henchmen and employees, just like Oliver did back in season 1, and I feel like that Green Arrow is Tommy Merlyn, and either Oliver will stop him or he will try to convince him to get past that. I feel like that's going to be the main storyline and plot point of this episode. So then the elevator door at the bunker closes on Oliver and Diggle as Oliver says, there's just one more thing I have to do, probably talking about his multiverse mission, and then it cuts to a pretty awesome kind of ending montage scene where it shows all 7 of the arrows we've seen in the opening title of the show from season 1 through 7, and it is really cool, and it ends with all 7 arrows together, and I feel like that's going to be the title for every episode, and honestly that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's so damn cool, and obviously that's hyperbole. It's not the coolest thing I've ever seen, but it is really cool, and I'm really glad they did that, and it's a really great homage to the first 7 seasons of the show. So that's basically everything we've learned from this trailer. It's actually a lot more than I expected to talk about. There was actually a lot more to break down, but there are other things maybe to talk about in the season, like details that were revealed. Like I said earlier, there were things that we knew externally from the season, like the fact that somebody else is going to be joining Oliver's quest along with Monitor and Oliver, and it seems like that character is Laurel, but also like costumes we saw better looks at, like Spartan and Black Canary, but there are other things as well. So that is actually it. There's only one other thing that I didn't talk about. Everything that they revealed about the season, other than what's in the trailer, is really expansion on the trailer, so it wasn't hard to incorporate that into the breakdown. But there is one last thing, which is the fact that the Arrow episode of Crisis will be in episode 8. Same thing for The Flash. I'm guessing same thing for Supergirl, maybe Batwoman, but I know for Legends of Tomorrow is episode 1 of that season. But the fact that Arrow episode 8 is going to be its crossover episode, meaning episode 9 and 10 will be post-Crisis, is different than I expected, because I expected there only to be one episode post-Crisis for Arrow, but the Arrow episodes of 9 and 10 will actually be airing before the Crisis ends. Crisis will have 3 episodes in 2019, then 2 episodes in 2020, and between those 2 sections of the Crisis, there will be episode 9 and 10 of Arrow. At least that's what I think, as Arrow Season 8 is ending in 2019, so that can't really not be the case, meaning the last 2 episodes will, dealing with the Crisis, the consequences of Crisis, kind of have to be in the future only, as the characters that are in the present day are still dealing with the Crisis, and Oliver probably won't die until the Legends of Tomorrow or Batwoman episodes, or whichever episodes are in 2020, and I don't really know how I feel about that, because I don't like the flash forwards, and I really don't like the idea of Stephen Amell not being a part of the last 2 episodes of Arrow at all. So as in terms of how they're dealing with the post-Crisis part of the season, I'm not really looking forward to it that much, but we'll see. Hopefully they end up doing it well. So anyway, that is it for my trailer breakdown for Arrow Season 8. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below about this trailer, or at least the last 30 seconds, which actually revealed things about it. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.